Absolutely.
All right. So this is an exciting presentation. As you all know, I have come from GPUG, and I absolutely love the trading that goes on and the exposure. And this is one webinar that has been done by a number of GPUG members. Matter of fact, I want to mention them. Palma, she's one of the smartest gals I've ever met, and talk to her about SQL and she'll dazzle you. We've got Mariano Gomez and also Leslie Vale, which are Microsoft MVPs. Some of the content has come from these three members, and then I added on to some things too that I've come across over the years. And we've got Brian here who's going to jump in and give some stories or explanations and help us in answering any questions that we have, as I'm not necessarily the technical person. I just kind of know a little bit about a lot and want to point you in these directions. But we've got our staff here, of course, is going to be able to dig in and see if it's the right application for you. It's pretty easy. We're going to talk about things that are free. Some of these are apps, some of these are reports, some of them are resources. So let's just jump in and get started. I am excited about a lot of these different topics. It's going to help you in using GP much better. So other than having helped Leslie in doing this presentation myself, other ways that we have gotten this information is by looking at some ISVs reaching out, finding what they have, also some subject matter experts. I talk to a lot of these guys on an ongoing basis, and it's really important for you to have those connections to hear what's going on and what's being used. And then, of course, we have the big publisher of Microsoft. And we've got some products that they set up and allow you to download as well for free. So let's get started. The first thing is safety, safety, safety. And it's so funny. You would also hear oftentimes from the community backups, make sure that you are looking into this deeply, because it can affect your environment. So my first suggestion to you, if any of these sound pretty darn cool, make sure that you talk to us first. These are solutions that I have seen being used over the years, but you also want to know, well, how does it play within your own Sandbox and GP deployment? So make sure you work with our consultants and support team and make sure that it is going to be a good fit for you. And then, as always, we are always suggesting a test environment. So first deploy what we're looking at in a test environment, and then test it again before you move it to the live GP deployment. So I don't know. I know all of us know about the App Store, right? We're downloading things all the time, but did you know that there are three things? If you type in Microsoft Dynamics, you're going to see all of these icons. So there's a lot. Now, when it comes to GP specifically, there's three. One is Business Analyzer, Time Management, and Jet. We're going to talk about each one of these. So a lot of good stuff that's free, but these are the ones you care about for GP. So yesterday, matter of fact, I was at Microsoft and met with Brian Meyer. He and his team actually wrote the first two products that we've got here. Business Analyzer is just as it sounds. It's in the App Store, and it connects to anything. So you can take different databases, different applications, different accounting systems for that matter, and pull in information. So it is a great way, especially for your management, sales, and marketing teams, for them to be able to see financial information in a fashion that I like, and that is more visual. And so it takes that information across your organization, and what you do is you set up where the touch points are to be configured, and you can personalize them. So here's a couple screenshots that I captured. This just gives you an idea that you could be out on the golf course and you're wondering what's going on. You can set up alerts. You can set up these reports so you can get some KPIs right there at your fingertips. So I love this gross profit one, where it shows actual costs, gross profit, and then annual revenue. And so it, again, is configured in this case, to Dynamics GP, to give you these graphical bits of information so that you can pass that information on to other people that have access to this app.
And Kim, it might be worth noting that product runs on any device, so it's not just Windows, and anybody on the call can actually, if they have their phone or a tablet handy, of course, they're not to distract from what we're doing here, but you can actually go download that immediately. It just takes a few seconds, and it actually is loaded with sample data, and so you can actually go download it and look at it on your phone right now this instant, even though it's not hooked to your live company, and so you can kind of see how it looks and feels and what you can do with it.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. All right. The time management app. This was a cool app that Brian actually created for one of the conferences because apps is where we're going, and he wanted to be able to show you how easy it is to pull information from GP. And so this one happens to do with your time, and you can allow you to create, view, edit, and submit time cards. Now again, I would say that this would be a light version of doing time management. What's very cool is it can integrate into payroll so that if you have teams, for instance, like the nursing community. I know of one of our customers that has 1,000 nurses, and they want to be able to put in what their vacation time is, sick time, and have that be workflowed up into payroll. On HR, also you can enter your time into the benefit codes as well. I know that this integrates on GP 2015 R2. I do believe it does work on 2016. I would be surprised that it does not. And it's based off of SBA, Service-Based Architect, which is the way things are being deployed from 2015 on if you're using older versions. So you can go ahead and edit and submit, very easy, right there from your phone, and get that information into payroll or HR. Or for that matter, you don't necessarily have to have those two, but you can report in this information. So to show you a couple screenshots, this is really what it looks like when you go into the portal, where you can actually see where people have committed, and then you can go ahead and accept them. So good way if you are managing projects or managing people's time from PTO as a good example. Anything you want to add to that, Brian? I know that a lot of our customers out there are using Time Matrix or Chronos is another solution, but this is, if you have light requirements, is a good way to do it. All right, it looks like Brian got disconnected, so we'll wait for him to come back on. Let me just go back out here and get him back into the presentation for 1 second. Hey, Brian, are you back? Hi, Brian.
Better now.
All
That's
right,
better. Yep.
There you go.
And that app does work with GP 2016 as well.
Excellent. So sounds good. All right. Now, another one too is when people are upgrading to 2015 as an example, in most cases, it also means you need to upgrade your SQL Server. So what you're going to find in this deck, if you want a copy of this deck, just email me, kim.peterson@interdynbmi.com, and I will share it with you, because you can see here we've got URLs where this will bring you right to the source of this information. And so along with your GP, you got your SQL Server, and what this upgrade advisor does is it goes through and searches the versions and what you have for SQL so that you understand what needs to be upgraded and what doesn't. So it's a good way to kind of do those diagnoses so that you are ready to do an upgrade. So by going to that link, you're going to see where you can install it, and then working on upgrading and then resolving upgrade issues. It has all of the directions right there. Another cool thing that you may find, if you've got some really smart people on the team and they do some development or want to be able to have access to what the code is looking like, a lot of times they're called SDKs. There is one for GP. And again, this URL will take you right to the SDK of GP. And this is for versions of GP 2013 and older. So again, one thing you can download if you're going to do integrations, write code, and have it integrate with GP. This is a good place to go. Product feedback, this is Microsoft's method of understanding what the needs are for customers. And so it's called Connect. And it's changed over the years as far as how to get there. So this is the URL that'll bring you right there. I'm not kidding you. I worked there for 22 years, and this is exactly what they do. The requirements team that is led by Chad Sogi, they sit down every 2 weeks and they look at what is on the list. And so not only is it where they're asking users and partners to submit what they want changed or added, but you also can vote it up as well. So oftentimes you're going to see out on different community blogs and things like that, that someone's mentioning something they really, really want in GP to vote it up. This is what they're talking about. So this is how they prioritize what they're going to do next for Dynamics GP. So it's very important. I'd suggest all users to keep this as a favorite on your browser.
And it should be worth noting here, Kim, that the future versions of GP, especially the one that will be out later this calendar year called GP 2018, as far as we know, the bulk of the features that will go into that product are coming from user suggestions. And so if there's something that you've been waiting for a long time or really think Microsoft should consider putting in, now is the time more than ever before to either vote for someone else's or get your own in there and let us know so we can have a few thousand people vote for your suggestion, because that's where they're going to spend nearly all of the money that will be spent on the next release is going to come from these suggestions. So don't delay on doing this.
And having worked in the house, what it really does is not only do they meet every 2 weeks, but about 3 months before the release of the code, which is expected in November, they literally cut the line because then they have to do testing. So at some point they're going to cut it off and then look at what the high weight ones are for future. They also announced last October that upgrades will be done on an annual basis around every November so that it's ready for tax time at the end of the year. And so it's really important, especially this time of the year, to really be thinking about what would be on your wish list and or voting up what you're seeing, because I can tell you probably in about the August time frame, it's going to be, so to speak, establish what's going to make it and what's not going to make it in that next version or what's going to be in it the next year. So GPUG. GPUG is an association of GP users. I actually was the director there for almost 6 years, and I'm going to share some information that I've learned from a lot of these, as I call them, wicked smart people out there. Zubin Gidwani, who was on my advisory board when I was there, said, Kim, I write more code and scrap code than you couldn't believe, but I know it'd be useful to people. And so he requested a portal on the GPUG site that would allow him to share his code. And that's how this got its start. And so you have to be a member, a paid member, in order to have access to it, number one. But to explain what you would find when you are a member is you would go under the communities area and look for Share My Code. And you're going to see these different tabs, like up here on the top where it says Community Home, Discussions, Library. Well, discussions is when people are discussing it or asking a few questions. But if you go to the library and then hit the folder view, you'll see what you see on the right-hand side, where you're going to see this list of all the code, scripts, reports, things such as that have been written and shared by the GPUG members. And so as of last week, there were 262 things that were shared. So you need to join that community when you're a member, and each and every time someone goes in and posts something new, you get a message. And so it is so cool. And I'm going to share some of the highlights of the ones that people got the most excited about when I was at GPUG. And again, I highly recommend looking at the folder view. It gives you a better listings of what the topics are going to be. Harry Lee, who is a Microsoft MVP, developed this, and people got excited about this. So again, it's a script that's been written by a member out there that helps with lot availability view. And so if you are out there managing your inventory, this is a way for you to look at your lot inquiry window and provide that flexibility so you can identify what are the lots for different transactions. So all you have to do is go in, copy this, test it out in a test environment, and that's going to help you. So thanks to Harry Lee that this is a great ad, free of charge. Also, Aaron Back, who is the past chairman of GPUG, that guy loves writing SQL code and all, and he is constantly sharing stuff. So he is a user out there in the healthcare industry, and you're going to find a lot of content put out there by him. And this is coming from a webinar that he did, and he loves to keep things clean and moving forward so your reports come along faster and the system works better. And this is an example where GP is not always cleaning up the deleted user IDs from all of the tables. And so sometimes when you go in to do that, it's doing some, but not all of them. And so what he has done is he has written a script that between those parentheses, you just put in what the ID is, and it's going to go out and find all of those user IDs. And so it's a great way for you to get them cleaned up, finding those orphans so that things become cleaner and faster. So another nice little way to keep things moving smoothly. People used to stand in line to get this from Leslie Vale. And so this lady, I mean, she is a walking dictionary. She knows dexterity code. I'll be talking about some of the books that she's written. She probably knows dexterity better than most. And as a Microsoft MVP, she is very giving. And she helped in putting together this presentation with me a couple of years ago. All of these links and everything has been tested and updated. So just so you know that what I'm sharing with you here today is updated. But with this one here, she posted this almost 2 years ago. And it's the Dex INI settings. And she has it for all of the modules, so you can literally go through and find out what the tables are and get your information. And for an updated list, all you have to do is email her, and she will get you the latest. So in other words, it's a journal that she is keeping fresh. So go and see if this would be helpful for you. And then reach out to Leslie, let her know you're a client of ours, and Kim told me to get a hold of you for the latest version, and she will share it with you. All right, here's another one from Jivtesh. Jivtesh and I worked a lot. Again, he actually lives in Australia, but he was very giving of GPUG, and he's a coder, and so he's constantly sharing this. Some fun things are is he's actually gotten GP to work where you can do hand signals to make inventory processes. He's done so many fun things as well. Well, this I know has been updated, and I believe some of this capability has been done with GP 2016. But for the older versions and all, it's oftentimes you want to be able to search the database for a keyword, like you know it, but you don't know where to find it. Here is a script, again, out on Share My Code that Jivtesh has written. Also want to mention professional networks, and this is something that I have to say is how I make my bread and butter in my career, is by knowing a lot of people, reaching out, not being afraid to ask, because people are very, very helpful. And all you've got to do is keep those networks. Belong to the blogs. Know who the Microsoft MVPs and the GPUG All-Stars are, because they're sharing things constantly. And here's a list of some of those really smart people. So, grab that. Oops, I'm going to go back one. Grab that and look at these lists. All of them do blogs, and it's a great way for you to keep up to date and get tips from some wicked smart people on how to use GP. So these professional networks, you're going to find them at chapter meetings. You're going to find them within the BMI family. You're going to find them at conferences. But keep in touch with folks, reach out, Make it a weekly activity that you're going to reach out to somebody and talk perhaps about some of the challenges that you've got, do some brainstorming, and you will be amazed at how easy it is to come up with some answers. Last, I wanted to also mention on GPUG too is that we loaded up a GP on there as a Sandbox. It's a free day pass. They haven't kept it up to date, unfortunately, but if you're on an older version and you want to try to do some what ifs, you can do that. And so again, you have to be a member, you have to put the information, and if you see this slider, the one thing that people get kind of hung up on when they put their information is sliding this over so that it locks it, and then you will get an email that comes with an access for you to use for the rest of that day, and then everything's swiped clean each day. So heads up, there is a Sandbox with GP 2015. Now I also want to mention, as you can see here, we're even one better. BMI, we offer up a 30-day eval for GP trials. And so if you want to experiment and see what's in GP 2016 R2 as an example, manufacturing, distribution, maybe you want to see what GP in the cloud is working like, this is an excellent way for you to do some of the downloads and to learn. We do this in conjunction with Go ERP Cloud, and again, it's a free trial. So this is an excellent way for you to find out what's coming up and how it's going to work, to do some different tests and so forth. You'll also find on this page as well some really good resources, some white papers, some guides that are going to help you in understanding not only cloud deployment, but also some capability guides and things such as that. So really, really cool page that we've got out on our website. So just hit that hyperlink, and or you can go to interdynbmi.com, look under products, look under GP, and you're going to find this 30-day trial. Victoria Uden is another Microsoft MVP. Matter of fact, I had an email this morning with Bedford, and one thing they were asking is about tables. Where can I learn about GP tables? They write code. They've written some of their own applications for their industry to work with GP. Well, here we go. We've got about 4 or 5 that I am going to share with you. Victoria Uden, she not only has written some phenomenal books, so go to Amazon and check it out, but also she's really, really good at updating and sending out blogs. And so it's an excellent way for you to get a hold of some of these tables. You'll never see Victoria. She doesn't come around to conferences very much, but she is one that shares things via email and through blogs. Remarkable lady. I've had the pleasure of working with her quite a bit. This is one of the best table reference tools you'll find out there. Also, Steve from Fourpenny, met him a couple of years ago. He's got a website as well called dyndeveloper.com, and you can see it's a beautiful site. And this, again, is another way that you can get a hold of some table references. And so it's great that Steve shares that with the community as well. What's also neat about him is that you can see he's a believer in Olympic project cost. He's got all of the different modules down below. So for grant management, analytical accounting, some of those that you might be a bit interested in and seeing how and what's behind the code, here you go. Mark Polino often does presentations out there. He's with FastPath, but again, as a Microsoft MVP and GPUG All-Star. On this site here, he's got a OneDrive that's loaded up with a lot of different things, and he has one in this case with reference tables. And same thing with GP, tablesreference.com is another source. So a lot of good resources if you want to get under the covers. This here, Mark Polino, the guy is a rock star. I'd say he's probably one of the most devoted GP guys out there. He has a site. You definitely want to belong to his blogs just to hear what's going on. He's got insight views. He shares his opinions, and so this is so cool. If you go to this website, there's over 50 downloads that you can actually take a look at that have to do with the GP environments. And so some of these you can see are like 30-day trials. Some of them are reports. There's all sorts of things. So you notice here I'm going to talk about a spell check product here in a little bit, but here's another one from Willowware. So he puts this information out there to share that with you. So it's very easy for you to find the information off of the spreadsheet. And you'd think I was getting paid for Mark, but I tell you, I'm like one of his #1 fans. He has written a number of books. Matter of fact, he also writes fictional books. He just finished one last week. So the guy's pretty goofy, and he's got some really nice books out there. Here you're going to find 7 books just on GP, and they're going back to older versions. But I'll have to say you can still buy those versions because many of them still pertain, because some of that code in those areas don't change. Some of the books are over an inch thick, and so really, really good. He tries to keep it moving forward. As you can see, he does have a new one, which is called a cookbook. Mark, if you wanted to probably know what he's branded for out in the community, is 50 tips in 50 minutes. He'll do it at most any conference that has to do with GP, and he has not only shared those, but if you want to dig in and find out, that's where you go to his QuickBook or his cookbooks. That's how he shows you through screenshots and all how to actually do them.
And his books are really good. Kim, I just counting up here, I have 4 of those books myself. So they're very good. They're easy to understand. They're not expensive, and so if you're on the GP admin side of things or kind of a power user, you can't go wrong with those cookbooks. I have the building dashboards, the very top one there, and I have the 3 cookbooks, and so very good stuff.
And he was one of the first ones to come out with books about business intelligence with GP. And the building dashboards he actually did in conjunction with Belinda Allen. That was her first book. And so what's cool about that, I'd have to say she's probably a dashboard queen. What's cool about that is you're hearing from people that are building and doing these each and every day. So you're getting a lot of experience off of how things have been done for their clients. And for their users. So do take a look at some of these opportunities on Amazon.com. And it's also Packet is another company that when I was with GPUG, I used to order most of them from Packet. You could save a little bit of money, and that's PAKT is another resource for getting their books. All right. Another one just for you admin folks out there is some more SQL tips. And SQL Server Central is a good website for you to go in and find all sorts of SQL stuff. And so again, if you are one that that is going ahead and looking at what and how to do reports and link in and have the most current capabilities, this is a good site for you to go to. I'm just going to take a breath here and just check here and make sure that we've got the question. Usually I'm the one that's watching the question area. So let me just take one break here and see what we are supposed to be doing. Jan asked the questions, am I supposed to be seeing something on PowerPoint? I hope you are. I'm hoping this was earlier on in the presentation. And then let's see here. All right, good. That's it. All right, so let's keep going. SQL Server Central. I had a conversation this morning as well. I was talking to someone that does development around SQL. So here's another one, the Stack Exchange. This is similar to the Share My Code. This is Share My Code out here for the Microsoft Stack. And so you can do lookups. As a good example is do SQL Server as a search term, and it's going to pull up dozens and dozens of questions, answers, reports, codes, and so forth. So again, another geeky site with a lot of acronyms and good information for those of you that want to dig in. I reached out to Mohammed. Mohammed is from Jordan. He's a Microsoft MVP. Again, he made that list because he's very giving of code that he writes. This is one, matter of fact, I shared this with one of my customers that's just getting involved in keeping their system updated with the exchange rates. Again, this is free. I would suggest reaching out to one of our consultants or Brian for more information on this, but what it does do is it downloads the exchange rates according to your schedule. You could say, I want to have them updated on a monthly basis, and it goes out to the database and pulls it down and brings it into GP. How cool is that? And so it does your conversions where things are going to be automated. So it's like, oh, I forgot to do that. Here you go. Mohammed put together a little app that's going to be able to help you in pulling it in. Mark Rockwell from Rockton Software, a dexterity house like no other, like Leslie Vale. There's some of those folks out there that have done a fantastic job at writing code right within and feeling like GP. And so here is one that is from Rockton. It's called Version Pro. This was a new one to me, so I wanted to share this with you. I know that a lot of times people are using virtual servers and things like that to be able to replicate workstations and all. Well, if you are doing it by workstation and you've got your people out perhaps loading some things on without you knowing it and different versions, it's an admin nightmare. You know what I'm talking about. This is free software that you can download. What you have to do is you go to their website and you're going to be downloading the GP Toolbox. Now that is a paid for product, but what you do is you go in to get that download and then you email Rockton Software and they will give you the registration keys for this Version Pro tool. And then you load that on your server and it's going to tell you by workstation what's loaded so that you can try to keep consistency within your house. Here's a good example. This is some of the windows that's showing you where there are some discrepancies. Very cool. And again, you log in as an SA, as you can imagine. But this is starting to tell you what you want to check and how you are going to check it. Brian, have you seen anybody using Version Pro?
I have. We have several that use it. Really, really, really like it. Pretty simple to set up and get going here, and it's very powerful. So as a system admin, but yes, absolutely.
Cool. So again, this is something during your upgrade or implementation of GP that we could help get that loaded for you, and you're off and running to keep things consistent in the future. Makes everybody's computers work better. Oh, we've done a lot of webinars and announcements and excitement around Jet Express, which is a tool that Microsoft is recommending if you haven't gotten started with Management Reporter. This would be the product that they would ask you to take a look at. It's put together by Jet Reports. Just to clarify what I mean by all of that is in October, Microsoft announced that MR will no longer get features added to it, but it will be compatible with future Dynamics GP for 5 years. And so we are about half year past that. So you got about 4.5 years for the life cycle of support for MR. So don't worry, you're not going to have problems here today or in the near future. For the next 5 years, it is what it is. And so if you are looking for perhaps FRX replacement or some reporting tools, this is one that they recommend. And it uses, of course, the reporting tool we all love, Excel. And so it hooks up. It's got over 20 reports built up in this free product. Very easy to download, test out, and get started. So again, I would do that in a test environment as step one before you hook it into your live GP. But it is really, really nice. Now, we would be more than happy to find out for what your needs if this is going to meet them. I know that Bert from Burger Transport, he's replaced his MR and this met his needs just fine. I've worked with other customers where they needed to go to the professional or enterprise version because of what they needed. So we want to help you in determining what level you're going to need because obviously there's a cost for the professional and the enterprise. But the Jet Express is free. This is pretty cool. I didn't know about this. I am a terrible speller. And so this is another. I had mentioned earlier that there was one that was done by Willowware. And here's another one. And this is called tinyspell.com, and it uses any window application. So it's not just a GP thing, but it's for anybody. And when you're typing away and putting in information, if you typed in a misspelled, it's going to tell you right there and then. It goes all the way through to even the notes field. So sometimes you've had to take something out, maybe put it into Word or Excel, do a spell check, bring it back in. Well, you don't have to with this product, so it's pretty darn cool. It's got a free version, and it also have more detailed and sophisticated paid versions. So this is called Tiny Spell. Here's another one, is Zoomit. Now, Brian, I can appreciate this because, you know, I'm getting close to 60 here, and my eyes aren't so good. Zoomit. Mm-hmm. And so this is one, this is one that I have 3 screens right now on my computer. You'd think I was smart enough to work at NASA or something, but some of it has to do with my eyesight. And this is a cool product that's out there that allows you to zoom in. Now, what's cool about this, I have seen this in practice with customers when they're doing training. So if they're training new employees, they really want to dig in to explain things. This is where you can download this onto your computer, and it works with Windows. And you can actually use a pen as well, tablet PCs, and so that's kind of cool where you want to go in to be able to see it a little more clear. So here's an example of what that would look like. So it shows your windows, and you want to, so to speak, blow up a portion of that screen so that you can see it better. So Zoomit is pretty darn cool, really, really good for when you want to be able to see things more clearly or for training. Look at that. Brian, have you seen any of our clients using Zoomit?
I have, actually. I use it myself and have for quite some time, really, I mean, for many, many versions.
Cool. Cool, cool.
So, yeah, it's a good tool.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to use. Again, kind of the up and down, pretty easy to figure out and to use. Circle things as you're talking to people.
Yep.
It's pretty neat. All right, our friends at Ethotech, again, something else written in Dexterity, the same platform in which Dynamics GP is in. To be honest, this is something that's in future versions of GP, but this is something that, boy, people that have ever downloaded this and used it could not live without it. And so it allows you to look up information the way you want to work with it. It actually works on 43 different lookup windows. And so everyone kind of has their own way of wanting to do things. So this has, again, a lot of flexibility that can be done by your role, by the company, or by the user. And so pretty cool. Here's some examples of what and how you can go and change that over. And I know we've got a lot of customers, Brian, that's using this product.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we some of us actually install it on every GP deployment just because it is priced right. So
yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Cool. Well, Mariano is a guy that I would go to whenever I wanted to talk about web clients or distribution and inventory series. This is something that he has out there from his blog site and also through GPUG. That is a free product where you're actually, this is kind of how you want to work. So he has written a script that allows you to do your sales order processing split batch. And so there's times that you want to get things through, and you can do that with this. So it pulls invoices out of the batches and allows you to do posting. Now, personally, I haven't seen this at work, but it is something that if you're managing your inventory and want to get things through, this is an excellent way. So you can see here, this provides that SQL script, and you can see you've got to go through, follow the directions where you are selecting what you want to go through, and it's been written in VBA Editor. Mariano is also another one that you'll want to go and check out and be on his list for blogs. He's a Microsoft MVP. also writes code for McCorma. And so he has a ton of downloads. I just took a screenshot here to show you some of them. He's a SQL guy, so you can see modifier with VBA. Here's his SQL scripts, different learning resources, and really good information out there from my buddy Mariano. Now, one thing to also note when it comes to this is look at older versions. He ponies up information from way past, like version 10 types of things. So you'll want to make sure you understand what version it is and then also do some tests. Again, this a lot of times when you are using the inventory series, you have a lot of third-party products. You want to make sure that what you're going to be using here works and plays well with the other products. I tried to reach out to Patrick Roth of Microsoft. This one is something that folks have used where the cap lock, it tells you when you are hitting the cap lock. So it's turned off before entering, as you can see here, your passcode. So as far as I understand, that's still available today. I didn't hear back from him. Leslie Vale, you can see on the right-hand side, this book is almost 2 inches thick. $35 or $59 hardcover or softcover. If you are a developer and you want to develop around, get tips, you got to do this. This book is like a college calculus book. Oh my goodness, it's amazing and scary to me. But it is a great way in giving you direction on some of the things that she has written. And so here's just some of them, and I'm going to show you windows of some of those products and results. Here's one that she's done on account maintenance. It shows the date created and added an account index. Here is for the GL transaction entry, where you can see the source document, master ID, and master name down here towards the middle. Here's another one for Payables Distribution, which gets complicated. You want to put it in, but get it put into the right account. And I think this is the last one, and this is sales order process entry window, where she's made modifications. And again, all of these are explained on how-tos through her book. If you like what you see there, get on Amazon and get that ordered today. Yeah, here's another one, alternate modified forms. If you want to simplify things, I want to be able to arrange how it's going to look on the window. There you go. And here's a report manager's summary trial balance. For receivables management, there you go. It's just showing with sample data. If you like how that looks, you can get her book and it will lay it out for you on how to get that set up. Boy, I guess I got more. I can tell Leslie's helped in putting this presentation together. Here's the export ready summary trial balance. Brian, do you have some things to add?
No, just she's done an awful lot. That's why the book is so thick, I guess. But yeah, she's been at this a long time.
Yep, since the beginning, that girl. All right, super. And this one I learned from John Lowther. He's a walking geek. The guy is one of the smartest men you'll ever meet. And he calls this the poor man's T-SQL formatter. And this is something that he uses often. It's written by Architect Shack, and it allows you to do formatting. So you can do this. This is what it looks like today. You can take that T-SQL formatter, and it's going to end up looking like this. Much easier to read and to work with. So for those of you that have to stare at code like this all day long, isn't that beautiful? All right. Another thing I want you to also understand, I talked about us offering up GP or CRM or some of the products for those 30-day trials for you to see what's possible, is always make sure that you ask. If you are working with us on an ISV solution, is ask. So for instance, I reached out to Gmarco from The Closer. That's a pretty cool tool. A lot of BMI folks are aware of it, but it's one that has been around for a long, long time. It helps you do month-end and year-end closing. Well, guess what? They have a test drive product. And so as you are looking, never be afraid to ask. But do note, to get them set up, there's going to be services involved, but it is one way for you to test drive and see if it's going to do the scenarios that you want. So never be afraid to ask. Do you have a test drive version? So that concludes our list. We've got some time left over, but again, this is a whole list of the people that have put together these great tools for you to use. And also my email address is listed there. So if you want to get a copy of this deck, reach out to me and I'll share it with you because it's got the hyperlinks. And so I want to make sure that you get this information. These are products that I went through with Brian to make sure that we were familiar and we have customers out there using. So we feel pretty comfortable with them, but we want to be able to, again, walk with you in making a decision if this is going to be the right tool or the right free app to meet your needs. Brian, anything else you want to ask before I look at the questions?
No, I think great job, Kim, by the way. I think most people would be shocked to find out there's so much free stuff out there for their Dynamics GP system, and knowing that not all of this applies and some of it's a little more technical than others, but the idea here is there's something for everyone. There's got to be one or two of these things that everyone would jump on, and if you're on the technical side, there's a bunch of that stuff. If you're just on the end user side, there's many of those, and so yeah, I think you know, if you need help with any of this, kind of getting it installed, or you have a test system and you want to throw it on there and kind of play around with it, you know, and you need help, just let us know. But yeah, there's lots and lots of stuff here that we can just go grab. So great job, Kim.
Thank you. How about that, Brian? Sometimes I can surprise you.
Oh no.
That's the one thing that I've been blessed in my career is I know a lot of people and I hear a lot of conversations. I can't probably do anything with these apps, but I've probably heard it, talked about it, or have researched it. So those are some of the benefits of working with BMI. We got a lot of folks that we can figure these things out with you. So again, on the right-hand side, if you've got some questions that you would like to ask Brian or myself, type those in and we're going to get those addressed right now. Our first one comes from Allison and it says, is there a utility to convert or translate MR reports to JET reports? And the answer of that is yes. So you guys are probably familiar, if you haven't done it already, have converted from FRX over to MR. And yes, there is a utility in working with JET reports. We can work on converting as many of the reports as possible. So it comes out of the box with 20 of them, but we can also work on taking what you've already designed and created and get those over to JET Express. Not all of them are going to be probably capable within JET Express, so we just need to look at one right after another of the must-haves, and then we'll be able to determine what level of JET reports would meet your needs. Brian, anything else to add?
No, I can't think of a thing.
All right. And then someone asks here, can you email the name of the book that Leslie put together? You bet, George. All you need to do is email me, and I will send you the whole deck so you got all this stuff, okay? All right. Good information. Excellent. What version GP do you have to get Dynamics Business Analyzer? Brian, I think it's GP 2015 and newer. Is that what you understand as well?
It did work in 2013, and I believe it actually went back as far as GP 2010. Of course, you know, it's been enhanced a little bit, so the copy today will have things in it that some of the older did not, but Yeah, I think we can get that back to GP 2010.
Excellent. And I guess it's an app, and so it hooks into any type of database. It's all a matter of getting things configured. So again, it's not going to hurt or break anything. Just practice it before you deploy it or share it. So if you want assistance on that, please get in touch with our consulting team, and we'd be glad to help you. All right, no other questions in the queue. Brian, did you think of anything else that you'd like to share before we let folks go?
Just one follow-up comment on the Business Analyzer. It actually does install when you're installing GP, and so by default. And so most of you would have that application already sitting out there. It just needs to be kind of turned on, and it does run on SQL reporting services. And so once you fire up your SQL reporting services, which is also free, with SQL Server, and so nothing yet to buy. Once you fire that up and you have Business Analyzer kind of hooked to it, you can go download about 200 reports that Microsoft has already done for you that are part of Business Analyzer, and so those can be run from the application, they can be run from a file share, they can be run from a portal, basically a web browser portal, and so lots of different options there on getting those couple hundred reports deployed out. They're automatically hooked to your sample data, so your Fabricam company, if you have that, they're automatically hooked to that database, so they will function immediately out of the box with sample data, and then all you have to do is rehook those reports to your live data. And of course, some things might not light up. For example, if you're not using payroll in your live company, none of the payroll or HR reports will populate, because if you hook them to your live data and you're not doing that, then there's no data. But if you need any help on that back-end side, we've got lots and lots of people that do that every day. That is probably one of the best tools that is unknown out there in GP land that Microsoft has. So that's it.
Cool. I learned something new today. You brought up a good one. I'm going to add that to the deck for the future is SSRS. Again, another free reporting tool. We shared a lot of tips on where to find some SQL stuff. You guys got a SQL house or are trying to develop one? That is probably something that those SQL guys will get extremely excited about. It works for Dynamics GP and on, and so it's a great way for you to put together some very sophisticated reports. SSRS. All right. Excellent. One last thing is I want to mention, there's a lot that we went through here. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and send out a copy of this deck to everybody in a PDF form that's on this call so you can get that. And then if you've got follow-up questions, please reach out to our support consulting team or Brian, and we'll make sure that we can help you along. And we can go from there. That's about it, Brian. So thank you very, very much. And anything else you want to say before we let folks go?
Nope. Have a great